primer ponente de hoy, como el profesor Jörg Schröder de la Universidad Leibniz de Hannover.
Many thanks. Many thanks, Miguel Alvarez Areces and Federica for the invitation today. I'm really glad to be with you. And well, I'm coming from the University of Hanover. In the background, you see our faculty building. That is an important historic monument from the following of the Bauhaus movement. And well, and our students in distance. Miguel, your introduction has been really, really great to illustrate many of the important questions we are facing today. And I'm especially favored about you stressing the necessity to look at the local scale, you know, that we are clearly having the big political questions that are now addressing energy in a really new way in the last weeks. Now the gas prices have tripled and many people are worried about the political change we are having in the Green Deal in Europe, how it should be possible for people. And for sure, for us as architects and urban planners, this will be one of the major issues to deal with in the next years. And let's say our access is really the local level. And this is not only about implementing the big policies of the Green Deal, but creating from bottom up new lifestyles, new possibilities, new chances for this big transformation that is not only regarding the energy we get, but I'm convinced it's mostly about what energy do we need for which activities. So we are changing the ways we live, we are changing the ways we are doing economy, we are doing entrepreneurship. And this influences the demand of the energy, you know. And the very interesting point that Miguel stressed is to create new connections between the innovative activities and innovative production of energy, you know. So for example, using warm from electric production for other production processes, for housing. I think this is really the innovation field of the future. And well, I'm very glad about this really super actual background in the introduction. And I will try to link my short contribution in the thoughts that Miguel already presented. It works, Fede, no?
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks. Well, the title of my short intervention is Circular Territories. That's a motto we are currently subsuming a lot of activities we are doing in research and also in teaching. Certainly the background to speak about circular territories is the Anthropocene, is the climate change we have to face to limit the increase of temperatures, to provide adaptation, to work on mitigation, and to create completely new models how to develop our cities and communities. The big political background, the European Green Deal, now with the eager objective to transform Europe in the first climate neutral continent until 2050, and firsthand provokes a massive decarbonization and production of energy from other sources. But with the topic of circular territories, we are trying to address the massive change in all areas of life and activities and of cities, so not only regarding energy. And one important further political initiative we are linking to is the new European Bauhaus that has been started 2 years ago as initiative, as cultural initiative linked to the Green Deal based on sustainability, inclusiveness and culture to bridge between the world of science and technology and the world of art and culture, and to support the massive transformation of the Green Deal with a cultural change. And well, with a very prominent role of the creative disciplines we are part of. No? The third background topic I would like to mention is the circular economy, what Miguel already said, no? A model we are discussing since several years that basically aims not to provide and to create perspectives for persons and individual well-being without further consumption of resources, without polluting the environment, and exactly creating new possibilities out of the ecological approach. And this will be the big challenge of the next year, no? Because firsthand, people are seeing restrictions and people are seeing changes, and we have to support as we can, no? From the local level, the creation of new perspectives. I want just to mention some points that are currently discussed connected with circular economy. In this case, from the current program of the EU Alpine Space Regional Development Program. Now, you could take any other current regional development program, exemplary, no? That it's about green economy concepts that prevent pollution. It's about renewable resources, saving resources. It's about regional material cycles, valorization of waste and loss, local value chains, consumer and social innovation-oriented processes that combine, and this is the really important point, no? That combine different sectors like bioeconomy with energy systems, with new forms of mobility systems, productive systems, and also sustainable building. What is a major area, since up to 40% of CO2 emissions in Europe are created in the buildings, in their construction, their use, and to destroy them, basically. No? That's a major field of action. Why territories? Territories are our interest because we are on one hand now, since many years, looking at the big metropolitan, post-metropolitan agglomerations in Europe. We have processes of hard concentration with rising problems in the big centers, in Germany, for example, in Berlin, in Munich, in Hamburg, making it really difficult for people to live there. On the other hand, we have the black areas now, and in Spain, very prominently, España, what you are discussing, but also in Germany, we have areas that are depopulating, that are in the post-coal regions facing major transitions. Many medium, small towns, villages, smaller settlements that are facing a lot of problems. And this is my interest. Now, since many of our discipline in urban planning and architecture are facing only on metropolis and the big cities, and we are forgetting that 60% of people in Europe are living in places smaller than 50,000 inhabitants. And that's the major field of the future, in my belief. No? And we are talking in terms of territorial innovation, certainly about economics, about social issues, about new networks, about activating, and about putting together small initiatives, local initiatives into networks that have a certain territorial impact. What we are currently doing, we just finished a project that was called Creative Food Cycles, funded by European Union in the Creative Europe program, together with the University of Genova and IAC in Barcelona. This project started from the observation how much food waste we produce in Europe. It's 178 kilograms per year in person, and that food production covers 25% of the climate gas emission in Europe. What we tried to do, was to set up a spatial and creative approach from bottom up, from a local perspective, to understand food cycles as circular systems in the same time as lens to observe change in society, change in economy, and as possible accelerator. So this means that innovations in circular food systems can have influences in a lot of other sectors. And well, basically our approach was to look at the phases, no, from production to distribution, to consumption, to recycling of food, and to collect good practices that we collected in a catalog that you can get on our webpage, creativefoodcycles.org. We work with prototypes, with co-creation with local stakeholders and citizens, and on a scientific level on mainly 3 topics: creative food cycles as driver for urban resilience, connected to social innovation, and based on digital technologies. A second project, a book we published this year, and I'm very glad about this, together with Maurizio Carter and the University of Palermo, Cosmopolitan Habitat. I just want to mention briefly the main 3 aspects we tried to combine in an understanding of cosmopolitan as really global and cosmopolitan vocation of cities and of territories that not only addresses climate change, but also social and cultural questions. And we were discussing and working on 3 spheres about the people, the stakeholders, the actors that make change happen. How does it work? What are new models? What is their inspiration? About accelerators that are possible mechanisms, but also spaces that can drive actively this change. And about atmospheres that are important now to bring forward the transition we are having to face. The third project I want to mention is in the framework of Medways. Medways is a platform started by Moserici with the Accademia dei Lincei in Italy, collecting over 100 research projects in the Mediterranean area about Medways in terms of networks and connections, but also ways to go for a transition in this double sense. No? And we are dealing with one of the 100 projects, and our little project is called Circular Territories, and we are working on the connection between bioeconomy and territorial innovation with 3 case studies, one in Apulia, one in Eastern Sicily, and one in Andalusia. So one is the Cuenca de Guadalquivir in Sevilla, Terra di Bari in Bari, and Valle del Cimeto, and the circular Etna area in Catania in Sicily. Just to show some impressions. And we are particularly interested in the forms of bioeconomy that have been created and established there in the last 10 years, and especially to analyze the connection to other sectors. No? So from, let's say, new ways of working with nature to other sectors and innovations in other sectors that are also linked with the research systems, that are linked with territorial innovation, that are also linked with new forms of tourism. And we are in the middle of the project. We started, for example, mapping to address, let's say, territorial setups, to collect existing initiatives, to try to condense, let's say, current trends, and to to subsume them now into certain lines of research. One is the topic of circular design and cultural urbanism that can support this link between bioeconomy and territorial innovation. It's about a new vocation for creative industries in connection to this field. And we observe exactly this new trans-sectoral collaborations in these areas in the projects we already analyzed that happened already there. And that, for example, also connect fishery with olive production and sheep in Apulia, creating new transversal cycles in the territory that are linked not only to working with natural resources, but include a lot of other sectors. One of the prominent examples was like a starting point for this project was orange fiber in the Catania area. That's innovative enterprise that produces fiber now for clothes out of the waste in the production of orange juice. Maybe we should in the future look for mangoes and other stuff. No, this is maybe already the old world. Let's see. Summarizing now our interests in the interfaces between circular economy and territorial innovation. We want to address them basically with the lens of inventiveness. So this means the role of creative industries in these connections, the role of heritage as a resource, the role of resilient communities to create these new linkages, and certainly the need and, let's say, the question how to do spatial strategies and framework that facilitate this and that take inspiration out of these new movements to create innovation. Well, and now linking to a, in the meantime, quite famous definition of the MacArthur Foundation about what are circular cities or what could be circular territories, I would like to stress that it's about regeneration. So this means not only to close the cycles, not to produce waste, to use resources really diligently, but in these processes, at the same time to regenerate ecologically, but also to regenerate socially and culturally communities. Second point is about accessibility. This idea of circular territories necessarily needs to include, and this is a big danger we are facing. Many people feel excluded from the changes we are currently doing in Europe. And we have to include them. We have to open, we have to show the possibilities to engage, to take part, and materially, to have perspectives and to imagine lives. Third point, abundant by design. This is more, let's say, for our disciplines in architecture and urban planning, that and a very important topic in the context of resilience, that working towards resilience needs abundancy. This means needs a lot of solutions because we don't know what will work. And we have to really kick out the old idea that there's one solution, we follow it, and then we reach the target. We have to become much more flexible, much more adaptive, much more inspired by on the way. This, let's say, for the creative aspects of our disciplines is quite easy because we do it anyhow. It's more complicated in political, administrative, financing processes to set in this idea of abundancy that we need. That's maybe one vocation we have to do to communicate this a lot better. Very well. that's it. And I would like to thank Ricarda, Alissa, and Federica, since we are doing this work on circular territories together, and invite you to look at our Instagram and homepages for further information. And I'm certainly glad for any comments and any questions you can put. Thanks.